Truth be told, most reality shows are all about the drama. Counting Cars was different. It was about love. I love metal, engines, and hearing the stories behind each build. A group of people who worked together but felt more like family became the center of it all. We saw them put everything they had into fixing up old rides, once forgotten cars that came back to life week after week. Life went on, though, while the cars were being fixed, sometimes in ways that hurt. Out of sight, the team had to deal with deaths that no one saw coming. Mishaps, sickness, and sudden deaths. We no longer have people in our lives who made us laugh, think, and care. In this episode, we remember them. These are the 10 Counting Cars members who died too soon, and the terrible things they did. 10th, Scott Jones. Scott Jones did more than just manage parts on Counting Cars. His quiet support was what kept Count's Customs running. He made sure everyone had what they needed to do their jobs. Most of the time, the cameras were on Danny's flashy restorations and his charismatic leadership. But Scott was the one making sure that every bolt, bracket, and special order arrived on time behind the scenes. Everyone in the shop looked up to him because he was sharp, didn't put up with nonsense, and worked hard. People got used to seeing him behind the counter, usually putting up with horny Mike's pranks or Danny's sudden need for a quick job. On camera, Scott didn't smile much, but that was part of his charm. Every day he came to work, did his job, and didn't want to be the center of attention. He cared more about the work than the fame. After the second season, Scott quit the show. There was no official reason given, but longtime fans realized that he wasn't there. In later talks, it was said that he had quit filming to focus on his health and personal life. Scott died not long after leaving the show, which was sad. People who knew him well said it was because of his health. But the reason of his death has never been made public. The Counting Cars family was very sad when he died. Everyone knew how important he was, even though he hadn't been on the show in a while. Danny Koker wrote a short tribute to Scott online, saying that he was more than just a parts guy. He was a friend, a brother in the garage, and someone you could always count on when things got tough. A picture of Scott was kept on the wall behind the bar in the garage, next to old show memorabilia and pictures of the crew. As and when, friends would come into the shop and ask about him. The team would then tell a story or two. One story that was told over and over was about how Scott drove across the city in the middle of the night to get a part that had been running late. He told no one. He just brought it in. He put it down on the table and told them to try to lose it. That was Scott. He was reliable, steady, and quietly funny. We will miss him very much. His part wasn't very exciting, but it was very important. Many people who worked with Count will tell you that it's not quite the same without Scott to hold down the fort. 9th place goes to Shannon Cow. When it came to Counting Cars, Shannon Cow was the person who summed up the right mix of accuracy, creativity, and loyalty. Shannon did more than just make things. He was the shop's lead builder and motorbike expert. He was a real artist who could turn raw metal into works of art that could roll. Fans liked him right away because he was quiet, calm, and took great joy in every custom job he did. Shannon worked hard and with heart on every job, whether it was building a vintage choppers from scratch or fixing welding problems at the last minute. Shannon wasn't the loudest person in the room, but everyone could always hear him. He seemed calm, and you could often see him with his bandana on and his mind on the job at hand. He didn't need to talk about his work. It was clear. Every word he and Danny spoke about the bike idea showed respect for each other. Shannon usually let Danny or Kevin talk when the build was done. He liked to stand in the background and be quietly proud of what he had made. Fans loved Shannon over the years for both his skill and his devotion to the shop. He had worked for Count's Customs for a long time, long before Counting Cars became popular. He put in the long hours, the stress of meeting goals, and the demands of making TV shows. He built the custom bike division from the ground up and was its heart. Fans were shocked when they heard that Shannon had died. There were no big announcements or catchy headlines. just a sad post from the Count's Customs team stating that their dear friend and master builder had died suddenly. Because the family was upset, the cause of death was not made public, but the tone of the letter made it clear. The group had lost more than one person. A brother had died. Fans poured out their feelings right away. There were tributes, pictures, and messages of thanks all over social media. A lot of people talked about their best scenes with Shannon, like when he worked quietly and hard late at night welding, or when he fixed up a broken frame and made it beautiful and safe again. His desk was left empty in the shop for weeks. His gloves, tools, and unfinished drawings stayed where he left them last time. Dan later said that they were honoring Shannon's spirit by giving him room, not replacing him too soon, and letting his memory live on in the walls he helped build. You can still see bikes in the lobby of Count's Customs today that Shannon touched. His skill can be seen in every shape and weld, each and every handmade part that hits the street. He wasn't just a builder, he was a celebrity in the garage, and the show is built around his memory. 8. Kevin Mack. Kevin Mack was more than just that show's shop manager. He was Danny, Koker's childhood friend, his right-hand man, and the person who made sure everything ran smoothly. Kevin was the beating heart of Count's traditions, if Danny was its face. He organized everything and was in charge of the crew. They took care of clients and made sure the builds didn't get out of hand. Fans loved him because he was always there for the team, was funny, and was loyal. Kevin made his part clear from the very first show. He wasn't only in the shop to watch TV. He helped build the business from the ground up. He kept things in order with a dry sense of humor and wasn't afraid to say no to Danny's crazy or expensive plans. That mix between work and pleasure made him very important, and people could relate to that. He was easy to relate to, worked hard, stayed grounded, and always thought 5 steps ahead. Kevin was always there for years. Not only did he find rare parts, but he also negotiated deals and made sure deliveries were made on time. He was the one who did everything behind the scenes. He was cool even when things got tough, which helped the rest of the team stay on task, especially during the most difficult builds. Without being flashy, he gave the show its flow. He kept things stable. It was a heavy blow to hear that Kevin Mack had died. Fans were not ready for it to happen. The Count's Customs team sent out an emotional message to say how sorry they were for Kevin's death and how grateful they were for his years of service to the shop. The message didn't say much about how he died. It just said that he died peacefully with his family by his side. Later, people close to the team said that Kevin had been sick for a long time, but didn't tell anyone about it. Danny Koker was clearly shaken, but he chose to focus on his work instead of his health. He told a select few that losing Kevin was like losing a part of himself. They were friends since childhood and worked together to make Count's Customs from a small garage into a well-known business. Kevin was a part of Danny's life, not just the business. Fans reacted with a flood of tributes, with many remembering Kevin's most famous moments, such as the time he and Horny Mike fought over money, or when he helped clients who were mad cool down. Kevin wasn't there to become a TV star. He was there to keep things honest. In fact, that's why people loved him. His desk in the shop was turned into a monument. The spot where he used to sit was now filled with pictures, racing souvenirs, and personal notes from the team. No one rushed to get rid of it. The coffee mug he left behind stayed where he left it. A quiet echo of the man who made sure every project went as planned. It's still strange in the shop without him. Kevin's impact can be seen in every choice made and every new client welcomed. He showed them how to work smart, not just hard. Even though he is no longer with us, Count's Customs still follows the steady, sharp, and quiet way he worked. 7th, Uncle Lou of Horny Mike. Uncle Lou worked behind the scenes on counting cars and made a big impact on the Count's Customs family, even though he was never a full-time cast member. He was Horny Mike's uncle and a mentor. He was a real gearhead who had worked on custom bikes and hot cars for decades. During the first few seasons of the show, Lou would stop by the shop from time to help out or give tips. Fans may remember him for his quick wit, his deep knowledge of old rides, and the way he taught younger guys how things were done in the old days, with tough love. He didn't say much, but when he did, everyone paid attention. Lou could cut through the noise and get to the root of a technical issue. He wasn't interested in fame, cameras, or the lights on TV. What was important to him was the truth of the process, the quality of the build, and the respect between workers. In talks, Horny Mike talked about Lou a lot. He said that Lou taught him how to think like a builder, not just a painter or a character on screen. Uncle Lou died in the winter of 2021. Infections from heart failure, which had been going on for years, were to blame. Mike wrote a moving post on social media about the news and attached a black and white picture of the two of them standing next to an old Chevy. I learned more from this person than from school. The text said, "He taught me how to use a wrench, weld, and learn to quiet down and listen." The entertainment news didn't talk about his death a lot, but people who were close to the show knew how much it hurt Mike. It was clear that Mike's mood on set had changed in the weeks after Lou died. He still told jokes and wore his famous horned hat, but there was a calmer side to him. In an interview afterward, Danny said that Lou had been like a father figure to everyone in the shop. Even though he wasn't there all the time, everything felt more stable when he was. A private funeral was held at Counts by Lou's family. Some of the team's most famous cars and bikes were parked in a circle around his favorite workshop stool, where a framed picture of Lou was sitting next to a set of wrenches. The team talked about the man who had helped many of them before they were TV stars and laughed, cried, and told stories. Uncle Lou wasn't on Counting Cars very often, but he left a big mark on the show. His work can be seen in Hot Mike's builds, the way the crew works on their projects, and the respect that is ingrained in the shop's culture. Lou thought that you should work hard, draw straight lines, and be there when it counted. So that's what he did right up until the end. Sixth, Big Ryan, who took over for Rolly Sabo. When Rolly Sabo, the well-liked detailer with the thick accent and big heart, stopped counting cars, fans were interested in who would take his place. It wasn't enough to just clean the cars. They had to be given new life before they were given back to their owners. Big Ryan had to take care of that. A huge person with a calm personality and a strong work ethic. Ryan kept the detailing bay cool and focused, even though he wasn't as friendly as Rowley. The audience quickly warmed up to him, and the workers learned to respect him. There was no reality TV star named Ryan. He wasn't trying to get attention or make jokes for the camera. He was there to work. He looked at the little things, like how the light hit a hood that had just been waxed and whether a fingerprint was still on a metal bumper, or if there was one more pass that would make a dash perfect. Some clients might not notice those little things, but Ryan did. He was proud of the fact that every building he finished looked like it came from a dream. Big Ryan slowly became an important part of the shop over the next couple of seasons. Danny would often check him one last time before delivering something. It was clean if Ryan said it was. If not, it was sent back for a second try. No one wanted to let him down because he had high standards. He changed the flow of the detail area, and everyone on the team trusted what he said. That's why his death was so sad for everyone. Ryan died out of the blue in late 2022. The stated cause was a heart attack caused by a heart problem that hadn't been found yet. He had been feeling a little off for a few days, but he ignored it and kept working, just like everyone else in the shop. The team knew something was wrong when he didn't show up one morning. Soon after, they heard that he had died and the shop went quiet. Danny, Kevin, and Mike were very sad. Ryan hadn't been on the show as long as some of the other people, but he was like family. The crew talked about how focused he was, how much he liked old-fashioned ways of finishing, and how he used to hum while he worked. He had big hands and a big heart. Ryan was honored by the Counts Customs team, who gave him an episode. They fixed up a bright red roadster that Ryan had detailed before he died. It was very important to him. Danny looked at the camera and said, This one's for Ryan. As the team rolled it out in the Nevada sun, the shop still has a plaque with his name etched in metal that can be found near the detailing bay. Even though Big Ryan didn't say much, his work said a lot. He thought every car should shine, and now his memory does too. The fifth one is Billy the Builder. Everyone on the team remembered the guest maker. Someone who left a mark on counting cars wasn't always on the show. Some came in softly, got the job done, and then left, leaving something people will never forget. One of them was Billy the Builder, a skilled guest builder who joined the team in Season 5 when they had a lot of work to do. He wasn't flashy or thrilling. Most people who watched only caught glimpses of him working in the background, welding frames or drawing out chassis improvements. But Billy was great in the garage. It was after a busy day at the shop when Danny called Billy in. They needed someone who could just jump in and do it, and Billy was that person. He had been customizing off-road trucks, rat rods, and even motorbikes for years. He didn't ask many questions. After looking at a rough frame and hearing the idea, he got to work. His humility, not just his skill, was what made him stand out. He never needed praise. He loved his job so much. Kevin once said that Billy could see a finished car before it was made. After just a few steps, he knew what kind of springs the frame needed and how the back would handle at high speeds. The team felt very grateful for your keen sense of detail and gut feeling. While working at Count's Customs, Billy became friendly with Horny Mike and Shannon. They stayed late in the shop a lot of the time because they wanted to do a good job. They were building for more than just the show. They were building because they cared about it. A few months after his last show on Counting Cars, Billy died in a motorbike accident not far from Henderson, Nevada. The team felt sick when they heard the news. He was riding with friends on the weekend when he lost control on a curve and was hurt so badly that he never fully recovered. He was 42 years old. The next morning, the Count's Customs staff learned about it. The garage had thick air. Mike sat at Billy's old desk by himself for a long time. Over time, Shannon said that he kept waiting for Billy's grinder to sound or his welding mask to appear from across the bay for days afterward. Danny made a special build in honor of Billy. It was a blacked-out 1949 Ford pickup with flame accents. Billy loved cars that looked tough and stylish. The brother of Billy was given the truck as a gift. He said that knowing how much Billy meant to the team made the whole family feel better. There is now a picture of Billy on the wall of the shed, right above the area for making things. Something that reminds us of a man who never asked for praise but earned it. Even though he wasn't on Counting Cars for long, his absence is still felt. Billy's heritage lives on in every strong weld and every frame that runs smoothly. The fourth person is Robbie Colorbomb Martinez, a custom painter from Season 2. In the early days of Counting Cars, the painting was one of the most interesting things to look at. There were flames that looked like they were dancing, colors that changed depending on the light, and unique designs that looked like they came from another world. A lot of that magic came from artists like Robbie Colorbomb Martinez, a popular guest painter in Season 2. He wasn't in many shows, but you knew it when he was. Many people in Las Vegas knew Robbie for his crazy imagination and bold use of color. He was given the name Color Bomb. He was amazing because he could make any car look like a work of art. His style was a mix of old-school lowrider methods and newer airbrush shading. It was like he knew what would look good on metal before the paint even touched it. Danny hired Robbie to help with a few special jobs when the regular painting crew was too busy. His passion, not just his professional skill, was what made him stand out. He would get really excited when he talked about a metallic fade or a ghost flame method. Robbie did more than just paint when he painted. With each stroke, he told a story. When he first came on the scene, it was to restore a classic Cadillac. He added a candy red finish with subtle gold highlights that blew everyone away, including the client. Robbie never became a well-known cast member, but he did leave his mark on a number of memorable builds. He worked with Horny Mike to make a handmade bike tank with skulls on it, and was known to bring donuts to early morning meetings with the crew, saying that sugar was the key to creativity. Sad to say, Robbie died in the summer of 2016 from problems caused by an aneurysm that had not been properly identified. It happened quickly and out of the blue. He had just finished a job for a private client and was getting ready to work with Count's Customs again when he passed out at home. Help was called for in an emergency. He tried to get to the hospital in time but failed. The store was shocked. Even though Robbie wasn't on the daily crew, everyone missed him a lot. The team painted a painting on one of the shop walls. It had an airbrushed picture of Robbie with his trademark goggles and painter's gloves and lots of bright paint splashes all around it. For a man who made our lives more colorful, Horny Mike called it a color explosion. Danny paid respect to Robbie online and said that he reminded everyone of why they loved cars in the first place. Dan said that he didn't just see cars as tools. His mind was like a moving painting. Robbie's work can still be seen today in some older shows, especially those famous candy paint jobs that shine like fire when the lights are on. Robbie Colorbomb Martinez may have only been on the show for a short time, but he left his mark on history and the hearts of those who saw his art roll by on four wheels. Number 3, Jesse J. Rod Hernandez, who worked in the shop in the early shows. In the first few seasons of Counting Cars, before the show found its groove and became popular across the country, there was a young shop assistant called Jesse Hernandez who went by the nickname J-Rod by the group. His role wasn't very important, and he didn't have a lot of screen time or say much to the camera. Just keep an eye on him, and you'll see him everywhere. Cleaning the floors, getting tools, prepping metal, taping off panels, and doing everything else that kept the shop running. One of those guys, J-Rod, loved cars, but didn't grow up in the business. The only way he got a job at Count's Customs was to show up every day, ask questions, and learn from the best. Daniel liked him since he was humble. Shannon looked up to him because he paid attention. Though Horny Mike liked making fun of J-Rod, he knew that Rod had a heart. He wanted to work as a builder full-time. He stayed late to watch Shannon work on projects and study painting techniques. After work, he would even try pinstriping on scraps of metal. He didn't want to be famous. His only goal was to feel better. His goal wasn't to be on TV, he told Kevin, but to earn the right to build something that would last. But that dream didn't last. In 2014, right after his last appearance on the show, Jesse was killed in a motorbike accident. It took place on a highway late at night, not far from Las Vegas. He was riding home after a long day at work when he was hit by a driver who was not paying attention and crossed into his lane. Jesse died right there. He was only 26 years old. The news hit the customs staff of the Count like a blow to the chest. Danny was very sad. In a short video dedication, he said that J-Rod made him think of himself when he was younger and full of hope, hunger, and zeal. Shannon kept a pinstriped practice panel for Jesse in his office. Kevin is generally calm and collected, but in the interviews that followed, he looked shook up. The crew stopped shooting for a few days and closed the store for a while to go to his funeral. Jesse wasn't talked about much on TV in the following seasons, but his spirit lived on in the garage. There was no one in the locker that had his name on it, and his picture was quietly stuck to the back wall of the break room. When a new assistant started, someone on the crew would talk about J-Rod. It wasn't as a warning, but as a lesson of what it meant to love the job, show up with fire in your belly, and do your best even when no one is looking. People may not have heard of Jesse J-Rod Hernandez, but his time on Counting Cars was real. And in Count's Customs, where heart is more important than space, that's what leaves a mark. His short life was remembered for a long time. His story still motivates people who are starting from nothing and want to achieve more. The second one is Doc Larry Mendez's loyal client who became family. Some people go to Counting Cars not to work on cars, but to build them. And sometimes those clients grow into more than just clients. That was the case with Larry Mendez, who everyone in the shop calls Doc. He wasn't officially part of the Count's customs crew, but he became like family over the years. Doc brought Danny his first project in Season 4, a 1967 Impala that had been sitting in his shed for decades. Doc is a retired paramedic who has always loved classic Chevys and American muscle cars. He was quiet, polite, and excited about his car at first, just like any other shopper. Dan and his team made his dream come true, though, so he kept coming back. There was first 1 car, then 3, and then 4. Each one had a different story about his late wife. A truck that he and his dad fixed up many years ago. One of his long-held goals was to finish the lowrider. He always brought donuts, a smile, and stories that could keep you interested for hours when he came into the shop. Danny said Doc was one of the few people who didn't just love cars. He looked up to the people who built them. He never rushed a job or argued about the price, and he always meant to thank the person who did the work. He once told Kevin that you don't think about money when you're passionate. You keep track of the happiness. Over the years, went to the shop often. During lunch breaks, he'd hang out with them and watch Shiny Mike paint or Shannon work in the manufacturing bay. He told stories and gave medical advice to people who got cuts or backaches. He even helped a team member who had a small welding accident. He turned into an uncle to everyone. Doc died in 2023 after a long fight with pancreatic cancer. He didn't say anything. I didn't want to bother anyone or cause a scene. Fans didn't find out about the news until weeks after his funeral. Danny and the rest of the crew shared a touching video tribute of Doc standing next to one of his finished cars, the cherry red El Camino that he had worked on for years. They talked about how kind he was, how much he meant to the shop, and how he always helped them. Count's Customs held a memorial cruise down the Las Vegas Strip to remember him. There were dozens of special cars lining the streets, and the crew had touched many of them. Doc's El Camino was at the front of the line. It was being driven by his grandson, who had grown up watching the show with him every weekend. It wasn't a big or loud event. Like Doc, it was simple, polite, and full of deep feeling. His favorite chair in the living room is still empty. Above it is a framed picture of him grinning like a child on Christmas morning as he holds the keys to his last repaired car. Doc showed the team that passion can bring people together, even when they're not working together. He may have been a client, but he left his family, and family never goes away in that garage. 1. Kenny Boom Boom Franklin, a popular crew member who works behind the scenes. On Counting Cars, not all of the important people stood in front of the camera. There were people behind it who made the show look good, sound good, and seem real. Kenny Franklin was one of those unsung stars. He was called Boom Boom on set because of his loud laugh and big personality. From the pilot season on, Kenny worked behind the scenes as a sound technician and part-time production hand. He was the one with the boom mic who set up shots, told jokes between takes, and made the actors feel at ease while they were shooting. Kenny was a part of the Count's groove, but most fans never saw him. Often he was the first one there and the last one to leave. This kept things running smoothly without drawing attention to himself. The team loved him. Orny Mike once said that Boom Boom was more interesting than most of us on the show. His laugh was louder than any engine in the garage. Kenny passed away in 2020 after having problems after having a stroke. His death was shocking and sad for everyone in the production family. As a tribute, the team dedicated a show to his memory. There was a quiet moment when everyone stood still as Kenny's name faded to black on the screen. It's not just steel and engines when you count cars. It was about the people who gave machines heart and tail's soul. Every one of these 10 people left behind something more important than fame. Tell us about the moment that stuck with you the most. And if their stories moved you, sign up for more tributes that remember not only the builds, but also the people who worked on them.